country announces it has created billions of dollars overnight. There are no printing presses, no ink, no paper. Yet instantly, the nation is richer on paper and poorer in reality. Because the money didn't arrive in vaults, it arrived as debt. This is the quiet magic trick behind modern money, and it's the same trick that traps nations, slowly, invisibly, and often without their citizens ever realizing what happened. Right now, it matters more than ever. Countries are drowning in record debt, interest rates are rising, banks are tightening, and governments are promising growth they can't actually afford. So the question becomes, where does the money come from if it's not printed? And why does the process almost guarantee that the world's biggest economies remain stuck in a cycle they can't escape? Let's start with a very simple picture. You walk into a bank and ask for a loan. The bank doesn't reach into a giant chest of cash. It doesn't move money from someone else's account. It types a number into a screen. That number becomes a deposit in your account. That deposit becomes money. New money, created from nothing, in seconds. Banks create money when they issue loans. Governments create money when they borrow, and central banks create money when they buy assets. No printing press required. The paper bills we imagine in our heads are just symbols. Most of the world's money exists only as numbers in databases. Now, here's where the trap begins. Every dollar, euro, or rupee created this way is born with a twin: debt. When you borrow 100,000, the bank creates that 100,000 out of thin air, but you owe the bank 100,000 plus interest. That interest wasn't created. It must come from somewhere else, somewhere in the economy, somewhere from someone else's debt. So money creation is not just money, it is a promise, and those promises stack. At first, this seems harmless. After all, borrowing fuels growth. It builds roads, funds schools, powers businesses, and buys homes. For decades, countries used this system to grow faster than their resources alone would allow. Japan in the 80s, the United States in the 2000s, China in the 2010s. Cheap borrowing made miracles look normal. But here's the uncomfortable math. If every dollar is created as debt and interest compounds, then the total debt will always grow faster than the money that exists to repay it. That means the system needs constant growth just to stand still. No growth, defaults, crises, currency collapse. It's like running on a treadmill where the speed keeps rising. Stop moving and you fall. Countries know this, central banks know this, and yet the system continues because the alternative, letting debts shrink, is too painful. Consider this timeline. When growth slows, governments borrow more. When recessions hit, banks create more credit. When crises strike, central banks inject liquidity. It's the same cycle each time. The world has lived on expanding credit for so long that contraction feels unnatural. Politicians win elections promising growth, not austerity. Citizens expect rising wages, not falling budgets. So the only politically acceptable option is more borrowing. And that's the trap. Because once a nation builds its economy on debt, reducing that debt hurts. It shrinks the money supply. It causes unemployment. It raises taxes. It angers voters. And eventually, leaders realize something uncomfortable. In this system, growth isn't optional. It's survival. Now, let's contrast the myth with the reality. Myth, the printing press creates inflation. Reality, digital debt money creates inflation too, just subtler, slower, and harder to see. Myth, governments control money. Reality, private banks create most of it. Myth, countries repay their debt. Reality, most roll it over forever. And this is where things become ironic. The money system that was designed to make nations wealthier ends up making them dependent. Dependent on growth, dependent on low interest rates, dependent on confidence. If trust breaks, the money disappears faster than it appeared, because what was created with keystrokes can vanish with keystrokes. So why don't countries just stop borrowing? Because in a debt-based money system, someone must always borrow. If households stop, businesses must borrow. If businesses stop, governments must borrow. If everyone stops, the economy shrinks, and shrinking is political suicide. This is why nations keep borrowing even when they know the numbers don't add up. It's why the world responds to crises with more debt, not less. Here's the paradox. Money created without printing gives nations power. Debt created with that money takes that power away. It allows governments to build today by borrowing from tomorrow, but tomorrow always arrives, and the bills always come due. So we're left with a final, unsettling question. If modern money is created as debt, and debt must keep growing, what happens when the world reaches a point where growth is no longer possible? Does the system reinvent itself, or does it break? We don't know. And right now, neither do the nations relying on it.